The Indiana Hoosiers have hit the transfer portal extremely hard, and Curt Cignetti has proven he's the portal king.
You are Locked On Hoosiers, your daily podcast on the Indiana Hoosiers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in. It is the Locked On Hoosiers podcast. I'm your man, Jacob Goins. I appreciate you being here, making this your first listen or your first watch every single day. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, which is your team every single day and the number one sports podcasting network in the world. Thank you so much for being here. I want to let you know that today's episode is brought to you by our friends at Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Well, we're going to take a look ahead at the college football playoff semifinals at the end of the show today, just to look at the Final Four and the idea that it's one that pretty much nobody predicted with one matchup, and how fascinating ours is with the Oregon Ducks. Plus, we have some conversation about Indiana basketball taking down Washington last night in the Big Ten restart. But man, we got to start today's episode with how crazy yesterday was, with how insane Sunday was. I think it was the craziest day by a single team in the transfer portal era ever. Flat out, ever. 7 commits for Indiana on a singular day within a 24-hour window. And it was basically within 12 hours that it all actually happened. Curt Cignetti proved he's the transfer portal king. Give him a crown, sit him in the chair, and just let him rule over his subjects, because Curt Cignetti is him, okay? Indiana, within less than 2 years, has made the Hoosiers, has made Bloomington, has made IU a destination location for every player in the country. Not just quarterback, which is what we've talked about, and that's why you went and landed Josh Hoover the way that you did. But it's become a place that when somebody enters the portal, they think about Indiana almost immediately. There's communication almost immediately, either from the player and his agent to IU, or IU to the player and his agent, because there has to be mutual interest now, because everybody wants a piece of what's happening with the Cream and Crimson. Now, obviously, there's not enough room for everybody, and there's only so much money to go around, but the Hoosiers have quickly proven they can win with anybody, and they're only going to go up from here. They're only going to get better players from here, and I think you're seeing that with the 7 additions you've made in the transfer portal so far, and I'm telling you that Indiana is not done. But, I mean, you have to respect Curt Cignetti and what he has done over his time, his short amount of time here in Bloomington, right? He's proven that he's the portal king, not just this year, not just because of yesterday, not just because of Sunday, but what he's done since he got here. Man, our man Brian Smith, our recruiting experts here at Locked On and host of the Portal Podcast, be sure you go and check that out. He has come on here and said multiple times that Curt Cignetti and Indiana are the best transfer portal evaluators in the country. They evaluate talent better than anybody in the portal, right? And people talk so much smack about, oh, you went and got a 3-star tight end. That's cute. Oh, wow, you got the California quarterback. He was 8th in the portal in terms of quarterback rankings when he got here. Really? Well, Indiana's on their way to win a national championship with guys like that, because they don't care about the stars. They don't care about the rankings. Indiana's going to go get guys that they want, guys that they seem or deem fit, right, for their system, for how they're going to operate on and off the field, right, in-game, in the locker room, and in the community. That's what Indiana wants. That's what they've gone and gotten, and that's why they're winning games and 2 games away from a national title without a single 5-star on the roster, because they know what they want, and they simply go and get it. And a lot of them are James Madison guys. Cool, that's fine. A lot of them are not. Most of the offensive line is not James Madison guys. Roman Hemby is not a James Madison guy. Fernando Mendoza is not a James Madison guy. You have got several players on this team that are not from JMU. They've come from all these other places, and some of them were highly ranked, some of them were not. And Indiana's winning football games regardless. That's what makes this special. That's what makes Curt Cignetti the transfer portal king. And it makes it to where Indiana is now the place for anybody that wants to get paid and wants to get played, and played as in get on the field, have high level production, and then get to the NFL. That's what Indiana is becoming, and they're becoming it very quickly. This is what the purists of college football didn't want to happen. This is what the old school Alabama people didn't want to happen. This is what Ohio State fears the most, is the idea that Indiana's better than them now because of the transfer portal. Indiana just found a way to not even manipulate it, just work the system, just take advantage of it and use it properly, right? There are several schools who build on the portal year in and year out, and it doesn't work. Several teams that do that. You can't just go and get the best of the best and hope it works out. Best example, I think, is Texas A&M, who is a good football team. And I'm thinking more of the Jimbo Fisher era there, right? When he got paid, what, 60 or $70 million to leave, which is insane. But they had all sorts of talent in recruiting in the portal and things like that, but it never worked. Just because you have good talent doesn't mean you're going to win. But Indiana's got good talent and they're winning. And a lot of that has come through the transfer portal. And while we're slowly building up the high school recruiting, man, that nobody's talking about that. Nobody wants to discuss the idea that Indiana is slowly building top 25, top 20 high school recruiting classes. The highlight is going to get top 5, top 3, number 1 transfer portal classes, and Indiana's doing it their way, and they're doing it the right way. A name that I want to mention very quickly that did we not have a chance to talk about yesterday, right? The names that we have in there right now: Josh Hoover, the TCU quarterback; Nick Marsh, the Michigan State wide receiver; Toby Osunsami from Kansas State, the monster edge at 6'3", 250; Turbo Richard, the Boston College running back, who I'm in love with; Jaquan Sanks, the safety from Cincinnati, more of a depth piece, rotational guy at safety; and Preston Zachman, the Wisconsin safety, who I think could start day one when he steps foot on campus. But the one guy that we have not had a chance to talk about that I want to mention very quickly is the Notre Dame edge, Joshua Burnham. He was the 7th commit of Sunday. He was from Notre Dame. He was on campus this weekend. 6'6", 260 or 6'4", sorry, 6'4", 260 pounds. 6'4", 260 pounds. This dude's an animal. So I want you to think about this for a second. Between Osunsami and Burnham, 6'3", 250, 6'4", 260. Holy crap. They're built like refrigerators, man, but they move like a ballerina. It's unbelievable to watch. And these guys are going to step in and be what? An instant impact player. That's my favorite term of this time of year. And both of those guys on the defensive side of the football, replacing big names right there, are stepping in immediately and replacing the Stephen Daly's, Michael Kamara's, Kellen Wyatt's of the world. Just like that. Indiana is the portal destination for every player in the country, and it's because guys like Mike Shanahan, Brian Haynes, and Curt Cignetti is the transfer portal king and has found a way to win in the new era of college football. All right, when we come back, we're going to talk a little Indiana basketball as the Hoosiers take down Washington last night, 90-80, start 2-1 in Big Ten play with the restart, but a heavy stretch coming up. Plus, we'll take a look at the Final Four of the college football playoff in the final segment. All that right here on Locked On Hoosiers. Today's episode of Locked On Hoosiers is brought to you by FanDuel. Fridays already feel different during basketball season, and FanDuel is making them even better. Every Friday night before the games tip off, FanDuel gives fans a new way to kick off the weekend with NBA Happy Hour. NBA Happy Hour is your official pregame, a limited time window where special offers drop right inside the FanDuel app before the action begins. Fridays from 6 to 7:30 Eastern Time have become appointment viewing with NBA Happy Hour. By opening the FanDuel app during NBA Happy Hour, you're going to see all sorts of cool stuff like boosts and bonuses and surprises. Just adds a little extra energy and some fun to a Friday night with basketball without having to overthink it, right? So before tip-off, check the FanDuel app and see what's dropping during NBA Happy Hour. Every Friday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, a little basketball, a little action, and a whole lot of Friday energy. That's NBA Happy Hour, only on FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. The way to cap it off is with Indiana basketball walking away with a 10-point win over Washington at 90-80. We'll talk all about it. We'll break down the box score, talk about the trends, the ups and the downs, and how tonight looked a little bit different for Indiana and how the Hoosiers might just be trending up as we hit 2026. And of course, at the end, we'll do everybody's favorite segment of likes and dislikes. 90-80, Indiana takes down Washington in the Big Ten restart. Hoosiers now 2-1 in Big Ten play on the season. And overall, I was pretty impressed with Indiana. I have to be honest with you. I think coming off of the extended break right over the holidays, you just don't know how Indiana's going to play. I'm glad, or how any team's going to play, really. I'm glad that this game was at home. I'm glad we didn't have to go to Seattle to start the Big Ten restart, right, coming out of the break on the 4th day of January. Very happy that this game was in Bloomington. It was in Assembly Hall. I know there weren't a ton of people there, but playing a game on Sunday night at 8 o'clock Eastern time just doesn't make a whole lot of sense for people going to the game. But I digress. We won't dive super deep into that idea. But overall, Indiana, I thought, played pretty well. You put up 90 points, 52 in the first half. You cool off a little bit in the second half, but you weren't as aggressive, especially pushing the ball and shooting it from the outside in the second half. You get contribution from several different players here, right? It was Tatum Connerway in the first half. It was a combination in the second half of Lamar Wilkerson. Trent Sisley played well. Heck, Connor Enright decided he could, shoot the basketball. What a miracle. He remembered that he is able to score, and he's actually pretty darn good at it when he tries, right? 12 points from him tonight. Love seeing that. Nick Dorn shot the ball well off the bench early in the first half. Reed Bailey came in, I thought played pretty well, got 8 points and a couple of rebounds in there as well. Quiet night from Tucker DeVries, quiet night from Sam Alexis, but yet you still found a way to hold off a talented Washington team and, by the numbers, get one of your better wins of the season so far. That's a top 50 KenPom team that you just beat tonight is Washington. Top 50 in KenPom, which is the statistics, right? Is that a tournament team? I don't know. Probably not, I would say right now, but they've got some dudes, right? We saw that they have some offensive firepower. You can't deny Steinbach. That dude is an animal, and I thought Indiana held him in check for a while, had a good game plan, right? Anytime he caught the ball down low, throw a double. Make him get out of it. Make someone else beat you. Now, first half, they absolutely did. They shot the ball pretty well in the first half, did Washington, especially from the outside. You limit that in the second half, I thought. You got to find a way to defend without fouling. God, that second half drug on forever, didn't it? Because Indiana couldn't find a way to defend without fouling, but I'm not going to complain about a 10-point win in Big Ten play, especially given the schedule we have coming up and where this one fell coming in and off of a pretty lengthy time off, right, from the holidays and such. And so, again, we'll get to likes and dislikes here in just a moment, but this one looked a little different tonight. This Indiana team and the way they performed and the flows of the game and the execution of the game looked a little different this evening. Look a little different for me in a good way. Indiana was doing a couple of things that they simply have not done so far this season, and it helped you. Okay, it helped you shoot 52% from the floor. It helped you shoot 43% from three, and you also got to the free throw line 20 times, which Indiana's had a fine job, or done a fine job doing that. But shooting 52% from the floor and 43% from three. You shot the ball 60 times and made over half of them. That's pretty good. But you were doing something, a couple of somethings that stood out to me. Dribble penetration and moving the basketball. That's it. That's all Indiana did tonight. That was different from what they haven't been doing versus what they did tonight. You were dribble driving with guys like Lamar Wilkerson, okay? Guys like him, when they're aggressive, the defense collapses and things open up outside. Tayton Connerway, same thing. Know a couple of his first buckets were from behind the arc, 4 for 4 from him. You love to see that. But how many times did he get to the lane, or at least threat to get to the lane? And then the defense has to pick the basketball up. And if they don't, he has wide open layups. He had a couple of those. Lamar Wilkerson had a couple of those. And then the defense has to adjust, right? So they did that, and it opened up things outside of the lane, aka 3-point shooters, right? Lamar Wilkerson, couple of catch threes. Connor Enright, early, couple of catch threes. Connerway, a couple of his were catch threes. Same thing with the one that Dorn made, the one that they reviewed and ended up getting an extra point off of it. Sisley was the same way on his little individual run. He'll be a big light coming up in a little bit, but dribble penetration just forces the defense to collapse and pick up the ball handler and leave the guy they're guarding. Or if it's in zone, they have to collapse anyway because they move with the basketball, right? And so Indiana did that tonight, and it didn't feel forced. They weren't doing it at the end of the shot clock. They were down the stretch. Some of those possessions were horrible, but they were doing it because it was there. They were taking what the defense gave them. That's smart basketball, folks. That's efficient basketball. That's fun basketball. And so not only were they doing that, they were moving the basketball, sharing the basketball, making the extra pass, making the extra pass. And rather than shooting a contested three because you think you can make it, let's make an extra pass or two. Oh, wow. Look at that. Trent Sisley's wide open on the 3-point line. Maybe we should get it to him. Oh, Lamar Wilkerson's open. Let's find it on the other side of the floor to him, right? Reversing the basketball, finding it, touching 3, 4, 5 guys' hands on a possession rather than just 1 or 2, which is something that Indiana has struggled with this year, is the ball sticking in a couple of people's hands. They were better about that tonight. And I think the flow of this game and this team and the offense for Indiana just felt so much more fluid this evening. And you put up 90 points and you shot over 50% because of it. Now, defensively, you've got to find a way, as I mentioned, to defend without fouling, because Washington, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, believe they were in the bonus with 12 minutes to play in the second half. You can't do that, okay? Would you believe me if I told you that Indiana won the rebounding battle? I wouldn't have said that before this game with a guy that averages double-digit rebounds on the opposing team in Steinbach. He averages 12. He still got 10, right? But Indiana did what they were supposed to do. Didn't turn the basketball over. Scored when you had to. Scored when you could, right? Got out to a lead and almost blew it, but didn't blow it entirely. I think they got within, 6 there in the second half? And Indiana walks away with a nice victory, 90-80. But it looked different, and it felt different, but in a good way. And if Indiana can keep those things up, they've got a chance to pull off an upset or two, because the stretch that's coming up for this team, it's brutal. There's no other way to say it. But if you play this way on the offensive end of the floor and clean up some things defensively, I think this team's got a chance to win some games over the next several weeks and maybe pull off an upset or two that they're not supposed to get. So today's episode of Locked On Hoosiers is brought to you by our friends at Game Time, baby. Game Time. There's nothing like college football season. Tailgates, packed stadiums, and being right there in the middle of it all. The energy, the bands, the moments that you remember forever. But actually getting tickets, yeah, it can be miserable. It can be frustrating. It can make you not even want to go. Don't have that thought. Don't worry about that. Use Game Time the next time you're looking to buy tickets, especially for those of you traveling to Atlanta for the Peach Bowl. You can get great tickets, great seats at a great price, all with our friends at Game Time. You can open up the app, see your view from every single seat inside a Mercedes-Benz Stadium, and know the price that you're going to pay right at the front. You're not going to have any surprise fees. It's not going to jump up right before you hit checkout, right? You put your card information in. It's like, wait, why is the price different? Not on Game Time. What you see is what you pay. So take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's code LOCKED. ONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. All right, final segment on today's episode of Locked On Hoosiers. Appreciate you being here. Again, making this your first listen or your first watch every single day. And if that's the case, and you're looking for a little bit more, a little bit something extra, we have our Everydayer Club going right now that you can be a part of. $5 a month or 55 for the year, to where you can get all sorts of great stuff. You just go to lockedonhoosiers.supercast.com. Again, lockedonhoosiers.supercast.com. You're going to get the show audio every single day delivered right to you ad-free. All right, so no ads. If you don't want to deal with that, I understand. That's fine. Get an ad-free version of the show. Plus, we have an exclusive Discord that we're talking in, throwing in a bunch of nuggets and having fun conversations there. Plus, you're going to get special access to a Locked On merchandise store and a whole lot more with our Everydayer Club. So be sure you check that out if you're looking to have a little bit more access to me and the show and things going on. The Everydayer Club will have the link for you in the description below. Be sure that you check that out. And as we are wrapping up today's show, I just wanted to kind of look at the college football playoff because, folks, I know we've talked about it, and I obviously know that you know, we're down to 4. Think about that for a second. Out of the entire college football season that started way back at the end of August, here we are, early January, and we're down to just 4 teams. And your Indiana Hoosiers are a part of it. I know you're the number 1 team in the country. I know that you have the Heisman Trophy winner. But man, it's hard to get to this point. It's really hard to get to this point. Undefeated in the regular season, Big Ten champion, had a month off before you played your first college football playoff game, and you did something that no team like that has ever done before. You won. You won your game. You're the only team that's ever done it with that long of a layoff in the college football playoff era. You got it done in dominating fashion. And now you have a rematch with Oregon. And man, I'm excited. This is a fun game. This was an awesome game leading into it, right? The matchup in Eugene. It was awesome to watch, and it was even better afterwards. And am I scared or worried about Indiana losing? Sure. I mean, I don't want Indiana to lose. It's the idea of what happens after a loss compared to me being worried about Oregon. But that team is better than they were. Oregon is a better football team right now than they were when they matched up the first time. But guess what? So is Indiana. Indiana's a better team than they were the first time that Oregon and Indiana matched up. And look, I think this will be such a fun game. A lot of people had this matchup predicted. Not everybody, though. Don't let people backtrack and say that they were all on Indiana all along, because they weren't. But it's the other matchup for me, man. You've got the 6 seed Ole Miss Rebels and the 10 seed Miami Hurricanes in the other semifinal matchup down in the Fiesta Bowl. That game will be on Thursday. Our game will be on Friday. Who in the world picked this? Not me. I didn't. I don't think anybody did. I don't think anybody in their right mind had Ole Miss and Miami picked to play in the college football playoff semifinals. But that's the good news about college football. That's where of all the things that we complain about, all the things that we're worried about, all the things that are just so messed up in our sport, this is one of the highlights and the bright spots of it. You have Indiana, Ole Miss, and Miami, who hasn't been relevant in 20 years, all in the semifinals of the college football playoff. Not Bama, not Georgia, not Ohio State. They're all out. They're all gone because teams were simply better than them. And teams that have not been there in quite some time or ever are now there and winning games. This is a good thing for college football. It is. And I'll continue to say that because I believe it. I genuinely believe this is a good thing for college football. And I hope people enjoy it. I hope people appreciate it. We're going to have a national champion winner this year. First timer for Indiana, first timer for Oregon. I think Ole Miss has some claim national title in the 1900s somewhere, but I don't count that. And Miami hasn't won in over 20 years. This is good for college football. And I'm excited to see it. I'm excited to watch the game on Thursday, cover our game on Friday. Of course, we'll go live right after it on Locked On Hoosiers on the YouTube channel, win or lose. But, man, college football has been awesome. And I've been excited and impressed with the college football playoff so far. Sure, there's been some blowouts and whatever, but I think it's been good. And I think Indiana is the best story in the country, and we're going to try and continue that on Friday, taking on Oregon in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. But we are out of time. We got to go. We've talked a lot. We got more to get to on tomorrow's episode. You never know what portal news could drop between now and then, so make sure you are subscribed to the Locked On Hoosiers YouTube channel. You're following us and have those notifications on your audio podcasting platform, so if you never miss a bonus episode of Locked On Hoosiers. Again, be sure you check out our Everydayer Club. I think you're going to like what you find for just a cup of coffee a month. You're really going to enjoy it. We're having a lot of fun there as well. We are back tomorrow, Hoosier fans, for another episode. So until then, stay safe, and I'll talk to you later.